up, nerds? Welcome back to the Nerdy Narrative. My name is Leslie Smith, and welcome to another Friday video where I chat with you about all the things that I've been reading this week. Starting with what did I finish reading this week? And the first thing on that list is Robert Jordan's Knife of Dreams, book 11 in the Wheel of Time series. This is the one where everything starts to ramp up and everybody is moving in the direction of the last battle. The one thing our characters have been made aware of since the very first book, everything has been leading to this, and we're finally starting to get everyone going in that direction. This one was so good. I had completely forgotten all of the things that had happened in it until I got started on it, and it was just so much fun to go back through this one. This series is so dang long, it's hard to keep track of what all happens in what book, so I'm excited to keep going with that series. It's probably going to be a couple of weeks. I'm waiting to get the audiobook from my library to pair along with it. Moving on to my next completed read for this week, I did finish Lord of a Shattered Land by Howard Andrew Jones, the first book in the Chronicles of Hanavar series. I spent about 3 weeks reading this book, just prolonging my enjoyment. I didn't want it to end, even knowing that I have book 2 sitting here ready and waiting. The way that Lord of a Shattered Land is written is called sequential storytelling, where you take a bunch of smaller stories that are told in a sequence of events that are leading to one big event. In this case, this is a retelling of the legendary General Hannibal and the Battle of Carthage, and in this case our legendary general is Hanavar, and you meet Hanavar after the catalyst that sets off his mission, which is to free all of his people that were forced into slavery by the Dervan Empire. I think this book would appeal to modern fantasy readers as well as classic fantasy readers such as myself, who started reading fantasy back in the 90s. It's the perfect blend of those two styles in my opinion, but you're going to be hearing about this book many times over the years from this channel, as it is a new favorite. I really enjoyed it, and I expect to have the same experience when I read book 2 very soon. Those are my 2 completed reads for the week. Let's talk about what am I still currently working on. I did pick up the audiobook for Turncoat, book 11 of the Dresden Files by Jim Butcher. As many of you know, last year I started a reread of the Dresden Files, the short stories, the graphic novels, all of that fun stuff. I'm really hoping we get another book in the series by the end of the year. I have really been enjoying my time spent with it, especially knowing that my favorite book of the series is coming up next, which is Changes. Oh man, I'm so excited for that one. I'm also still working my way through the chunker that is Shogun by James Clavell. Y'all just go ahead and get ready. You're going to be seeing this book in my currently reading section of this video for 3 months. I'm going to be taking my time with this one. It was not a planned read. It's one I fit in when I saw that there was a new adaptation coming. And so as to fit in this read of it, I had to take it in little small digestible chunks, which is just fine, except that this one is so hard to put down. It's such an interesting mix learning about 1600 Japan, and you're learning about it from the perspective of an Englishman who knows very little about the Japanese. And from where I'm at in this book, which I think is about 150 pages, Blackthorn, the main character, he and I both have gathered what he thought he knew about Japan isn't exactly accurate. The story offers up a lot of humor as he is trying to learn about the Japanese, adjust to their customs, trying to learn their language, talking in sign language to one another to try and get their points across. That affords a lot of humor for the reader, you know, and then as you're smiling and turning the page, something very horrific and shocking will happen, and you're going, what just happened? So it's very good, very hard to put down after the few pages that I've allotted myself to read this one every day. So I'm really enjoying it. I feel like it's going to be one that I'm going to be recommending in the future, but it's still too early to tell since I'm only 150 pages out of 1,300 through right now. I also started 27 Minutes, the debut novel by Ashley Tate. This one is going to be published at the end of January, on January 30th. I requested it on NetGalley because the book description sounded really good. To try and put it in a nutshell for you, it's approaching the 10-year anniversary of the death of a young woman named Phoebe Dean. Phoebe lost her life as a result of a terrible car accident that she was in. The question at the time of the accident, and the question that is now being asked again because of this 10-year memorial that's being planned, is, would she have died if her brother had called 911 sooner? The title from the book, 27 Minutes, comes from Grant, the brother, waited 27 minutes before he called 911 after the accident. And that is what sucked me in. I want to know what happened in those 27 minutes. The first time I sat down and cracked this one open, I blazed through about 20% of the book. It's written from the perspective of 5 different characters. It's pretty much inner monologue from these characters, just the memories that are being reawakened with this memorial that's coming up. There's not a whole lot of action, and I'm one of those readers that I typically don't like the type where you're told, not shown what's happened. But the way that the author is changing from the different characters and unfolding the story from the past, I've been very entertained. I experienced a brief moment of disappointment because I thought I had figured out the whole thing right at the beginning, and then the very next chapter that took all that away, and I was like, all right, well, I'm back at the drawing board. So the author has made it to the safety zone. I usually know by 20% of the way into a book if I'm going to like it or not, if I'm going to make the decision to DNF. We've made it past 20%. I'm still enjoying it. I'm still actively engaged in wanting to know the answer to that question. I fully expect to finish this one in the next couple of days because it's just written where I can read it really fast. So I will let you guys know how that one turns out next week. Now comes the part where we talk about what I'm going to read next. Once I finish listening to my reread of Turncoat by Jim Butcher, I have 2 short stories on deck that come between Turncoat and Changes. Both of those short stories are contained in the Briefcases collection. The first one is called Even Hand. The second one is called Bigfoot on Campus. I know exactly who that one is going to be about. I am so glad that Jim Butcher has given us so many short stories about that character. I can't wait to read it. This is my first time actually reading all of the short stories. I've read some of them here and there, but all of the ones about Bigfoot I have not read previously, and they are my favorites. For real, this time I'm thinking about library hold. Doesn't matter. Forget the library holds. I am going to get to my reread of The Awakening Fire by Cassidy Faline. This is book 1 in the series Ancient's Blood. Book 2, The Binding Power. I'm going to get to these 2 next. For sure. Next Friday, you're going to hear about one or both of these books in finished reads or current reads. It's going to happen. I need to just quit doing TBR videos because they're falling apart. And a lot of that right now is because I've been watching a lot of NBA games. Some of you know I'm a big Celtics fan, and I became a fan of the Denver Nuggets last year. And then the Orlando Magic has been showing out a little bit this year, so I've been watching them too. I've been going through a phase where I've been watching a lot of TV. Reacher season 2 is out. I have been a longtime fan of the Jack Reacher series by Lee Child. I think I have read through the first 14 books. I need to get back on that series and get caught up. Another series that I started watching this last weekend based on a book series is Foundation. How did I never hear about this series? One of my husband's friends had mentioned it, and he turned on the first episode. We both loved it. We're caught up in it. And I'm going, Foundation, Foundation. I wonder if that is from the Isaac Asimov trilogy. Turns out it is. I have been loving the TV series. We blazed through, I think, 4 or 5 episodes of it, so I've been a huge fan of that. I think there's 2 seasons out. There's a 3rd one coming, maybe this year, or maybe it's getting filmed this year. At any rate, season 3 is coming. I might even tackle the series. I've never read those books. I've heard so many conflicting things about the books. I felt like they were more complex than I would enjoy, but I would like them if I read them after watching the TV show. I don't know. We'll have to find out. But I don't want to ruin my enjoyment of the show by reading the books because I am a book snob. I'm one of those people that if I read the books first, I will shred the adaptation to it. Though with Reacher, Amazon knew what they were doing. They have done a phenomenal job adapting those books to the screen. They've got the casting just nailed to perfection. I have 0 things to complain about with that TV series. I hated the movies. Tom Cruise was not a good fit for Reacher. I was so disappointed. I knew that I wasn't going to like it as soon as they cast him because if you read the books, you know Reacher is a big man and Tom Cruise is not. I like Tom Cruise as an actor, but yeah, that was not a role that he could pull off. And it wasn't his fault. He did the best that he could with the role that he was given. It just didn't fit. Alright, so I have rambled on enough here. It is time for me to wrap this up. Thank you all so much for watching. Hopefully one or more of the books I've talked about today sound interesting to you, something you want to put on your want to read list, or shoot, maybe even one of the TV shows I mentioned sounds like something you might want to put on your watch list. At any rate, thank you all so much for watching. Hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll catch you in the next one.